conference that actually focuses on the Asia-Pacific geography and really looks at moving capital in this geography with a very much sort of attuned to what is happening in our communities in our part of the world. So very excited about how this has turned out, extremely humbled by the response that we have got. And it's a practitioner conference, so everyone who's here is actually walking the talk.
You know, when I go through what I've heard at the conference, collaboration has come up time and time and time again. It's almost, for me, been the word of the conference. What are the key themes that you're focusing on and you're finding that your attendees are focusing on?
So, you know, collaboration is probably one of the most cliched words that we use when we talk about impact, about philanthropy. But the truth of the matter is that given that the scale of the problems we're trying to solve, the kind of wicked problems that we're here to address, you can't do it alone.
No.
You need to collaborate, but you need to collaborate with a diverse group of stakeholders. And that's why AVPN is so interesting, because it brings public sector, so there's government agencies that are here, it brings private sector, private capital, and it brings civil society together. And if you really are looking at a holistic solution, that collaboration needs to be amongst all three groups. What happens in a lot of places is we talk about collaboration. It's usually you're in your own echo chamber, you're talking to people who are like you, and that collaboration sometimes is not big enough, it's not wide enough, and it doesn't achieve quite as much as you wanted it to achieve, and therefore it breaks down. I also think collaboration is really hard, and everyone who's here realizes that there's a lot of work that you need to put in collaboration. And one of the things that we have done over the past few years is actually recognize why collaboration is important, and we actually have a group of awards called the Constellation Awards that recognizes and rewards collaboration and partnership amongst our members.
Well, what does, when you look at the conference as a whole and what you're trying to achieve with AVPN, what does success look like to you?
Success here looks like that, people leave here charged, energized, as they do from a lot of conferences, but actually with an action plan. To me, this conference is actually only 10% of what AVPN does. Our mission is to move capital towards impact, and that's a very action-oriented mission. So bringing people together is step one. Getting them to share about what each other are doing is step two. Getting them to actually work together and move that capital is step three, and to me the most important part of anything that we do. So for me, success looks like actually we have a quantum of capital that we can measure that has been moved as a result of conversations, connections, deals that have been struck at this conference.
How do we compare here in Asia when it comes to philanthropy, when it comes to impact investing? When you compare where we are today with where they are in the US, where they are in Europe, do we learn from them? Do they learn from us? Or is it
I think the learning has to be both ways. Too often, and for a very long time, the learning has always been on one way. We look at them as being more advanced, as being more experts, and while they have been talking about philanthropy, talking about impact investing for a long time, we neglect to actually recognize the fact that across Asia, we have had philanthropy for generations, for centuries. It's just that we haven't had institutional philanthropy. And that's the difference. So it's not that we don't understand philanthropy. It's just that we haven't formalized it and we haven't had very many formal structures. Now that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I think the way I look at it is that it helps us be more nimble, it helps us be more innovative, it helps us try new things that, sometimes haven't been really tried in the West. And it also helps us fail fast. Something doesn't work, just try something else.
There's geopolitics when it comes to almost any business, and I'd say that philanthropy is probably no different. You did an interview recently where you talked about the importance of bringing China into the conversation, and you in fact said we'd be crazy not to.
Yes.
Are we doing that? What needs to happen to ensure that we do that, we can do that?
So I think this is where AVPN has a superpower. We are a neutral nobody. We're a neutral platform that welcomes all people, irrespective of geography, irrespective of political affiliation. What a very senior policymaker told me a number of years ago, which has kind of stayed with me, is that it's possible for them to come to AVPN and learn and talk to people that they can't do on an official platform. And we have tried to use our platform like that, where we have welcomed people who otherwise may not feel as comfortable sharing a public space together. You talk about China, it is extremely important when you're talking about our part of the world. The two largest economies, India and China, are here. They both have the largest numbers of population, and therefore some of the biggest challenges when it comes to achieving the SDGs and the social goals. If India and China don't achieve the SDGs, the rest of the world can just forget about it, right? So how can you ignore one and not have them? So we have, I believe it's about 174 Indian delegates, and we have 70 delegates from the PRC. We have 55, I believe, from Hong Kong, and we have about 14 from Taiwan. So I think there is a good representation here, and I really believe that we have, as a world, a lot to learn from China. For a country that has moved 700 million people from absolute poverty, that is a huge achievement, and there is a lot that we can learn from them.
Naina, congratulations on a wonderful conference, on bringing these amazing, 1,320 delegates together over the course of 3 days. You talked about energy in the room. It has a lot of energy in these rooms.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, so are we at the APAC Network.
Thank you.
Thank you, Naina.
Thank you.